Welcome back to the On Business podcast. With tons of experience in different industries in Canada and the United States, Danielle and Brandon give you real talk, no nonsense expert advice about running and owning successful companies. Here's your host, Danielle Jenkins and Brandon White.
Danielle Jenkins, what's happening today?
Hi, Brandon. Happy Friday. I know we're recording today, and you always make me laugh before we start. So anybody watching, they probably always see our episodes with me laughing when we first start.
Well, I don't want you to, I never want you to start with a frown on your face.
Never have a frown on your face. Always fake a smile if you have to.
Today, we are talking about how one picture can cause havoc for your business. And this actually wasn't on our list of episodes to record. For those listening who are new, Danielle is an excellent planner. I like to plan, but she outplans me and makes me look like an amateur. But something happened recently that was very poignant. I don't know, poignant, but it was a big deal here in the last few weeks in Danielle's business. And I've had some experience with this as well. So we thought that it would be important, especially in today's day and age, in how a picture with a person can have an effect on your business, and being prepared for something like this if you choose to do it. So with that, Danielle, do you want to describe exactly what happened?
Yes, I will. And I'm looking forward to sharing this because it is very important in today's day and age, especially with cancel culture and all of the movements and things like that. And everybody's very opinionated this day and age, I find, especially with social media. Obviously, it makes it very easy with all those keyboard warriors and those trolls. So, and that's what today comes down to. So I'll share the story, and then we can get into if we could have done anything different, how I handled it, and hopefully anybody listening and anybody who has had a situation like this, hopefully this helps and they can stand their ground too. So for those of you who have been following along for a while, know that a few months ago, we lost one of our office locations in Orangeville due to a large fire. So we actually ended up getting a new office location in the same town as of November 1st. So very exciting times. We were able to get everything set up, our new office ready to go. Our whole company just worked their butts off to make this new location ready to go literally within like 48 hours. So it was quite amazing. And so we decided that we were going to have a grand reopening event for the new location to showcase our products, to showcase our staff. Our clients could come, have food, have drinks, say hello to all of our staff, the ones that they know, the ones that they don't, get to know the company on a little bit of a more personal level, and just kind of celebrate the fact that we lost our office location, we reopened, we were resilient, we were strong, we did it quick, and it was just going to be a great event. So we had a lot of our clients come, our colleagues, our partners, people we do business with, community officials, the mayor, a whole bunch of people showed up to the event. So we were all having a great time, and one of our local MPP government officials, so here in Canada, we have MPPs in towns that represent...
Just for U.S. listeners, what's an MPP? Because I actually don't know.
You know what? I actually don't know what MPP stands for. They're just called an MPP.
Well, is that like a city council person, a county person? They're an elected official?
So it just says MPP stands for Member of Provincial Parliament. So they serve as a parliamentary assistant to the Minister of Public and Business Service Delivery for the town. So
official.
Yeah. So Sylvia Jones, the woman who is the MPP for Orangeville, showed up to our event. And she was a lovely woman. She brought her assistant with her. We had the Dufferin Board of Trade with us. We had other community government officials there as well. And Sylvia gifted us a lovely plaque of community excellence and success. You know, well wishes for your success. Thanks for being a great community champion. We do a lot of work within the community. So it was a lovely moment. So she gifted this. That being said, this event was nothing to do with political. This was, not something that we were doing to represent Sylvia Jones or any of the other political people at the event. And so Sylvia Jones asked for a picture with myself and everybody else there, with our ribbon cutting and things like that. So a few days later, she, or I guess her assistant or her party, posted this picture on her public platforms on her Instagram and Facebook saying, congratulations to Domestic Divas Cleaning Co. on their grand reopening within the community. Our community is so lucky to have a great company as such, blah, 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 blah. So from that point on, we thought it was lovely. We shared the picture, thanks so much, Sylvia Jones, for your support, along with everybody else who shared this picture, who shared their pictures of being with our company, with our managers, with the ribbon cutting, all of those great things. So within a couple of hours, we received the nastiest, most disgusting messages I've ever seen in my life. Sylvia Jones also received nasty messages, and of course we're associated with these messages at this point. So just for a little bit of backstory, Sylvia Jones is the Health Minister of Ontario, along with her MPP position. And so right now in Canada and Ontario specifically, the healthcare system is kind of failing. It's kind of a shit show, to be honest. And that's not a political stance. That's just the truth. So unfortunately, though, even though Sylvia Jones is in this position, it takes more than one woman to resolve these issues. So we were receiving messages saying that we were supporting a woman who kills children. We were receiving messages saying that people are going to boycott our company because we support Sylvia Jones and all of her ridiculous mandates. We were seeing comments, public comments on social media on these pictures saying that people were going to boycott our company because we gave Sylvia Jones FaceTime. All of these nasty messages. One person even wrote on there, Sylvia Jones, how many children are you killing today? So, just horrific messages. And, yes, it bothered me. Yes, it bothered our staff, but we thought, this is just, again, keyboard warriors, trolls, sitting behind their computers, sharing their feelings about somebody who has clearly pissed them off. But our company is dragged in the middle because of our picture. So I was willing to kind of just deal with that. It'll blow over, as things most do. However, it then got to me when we were then receiving 1-star Google reviews. So we are very much involved on Google My Business. If anybody's listened to the show, you guys will know how strongly I feel about utilizing Google in your businesses. So on Google My Business, we have about 90 to 100 5-star reviews, and we have a great rating. With that comes perks from Google. We get, certain credits. We get Google verifications. We get, top first pick when people Google cleaning companies, for example. So it comes with a great bunch of perks that our company has worked extremely hard for. So we were receiving 1-star reviews, again, saying any company that has FaceTime with the Health Minister of Ontario has no morale. I would never use this company for that reason, XYZ. Obviously has nothing to do with the service that they received or our company directly, but now these things are going to start bringing down our rating and people are going to see them. I would hope that if people were looking at hiring our company, they would read these 1-star reviews and say, oh, it has nothing to do with the business. However, we have built such a strong company in that community and outside communities as well, that we do have a very strong reputation and a great brand that is very strong. So a couple 1-star reviews probably won't bring us down. However, it was concerning for the fact where if this was a few years ago or we were a startup or any business that has something like this happen, it could have actually ruined our company. People could have taken a stance against our business. People could have canceled services with our business if we were new and just kind of getting our feet wet in the community. Again, we're very strong in the community, but not all businesses are, or they're just starting out, and something as innocent as this could really ruin it. So that's what happened. I mean, there's even worse comments that I'm not even going to repeat. There were nasty things about how the CEO of the company financially supports, that would be me, financially supports Sylvia Jones behind scenes. And I promise I don't do anything political, especially with that situation. But within the company, I don't share anything political. Our company remains very strong on a neutral front, especially in a community where there's, many different opinions on politics. So we stand very neutral. And so these things were very harsh, and that's what happened. Yeah, Brandon, that's what happened. And it was awful. It was shit, to be honest. It broke my heart. And, even our employees that work with us, and they're seeing these things on Google, they're seeing these things on Facebook and Instagram. They were absolutely devastated because they knew what happened and they were pissed off. We've worked so hard to build this company with Danielle and the managers and everybody else involved. And this is what people are doing over such a stupid effing picture.
I was actually shocked when you texted me. I don't know, shocked. We live in a day and age where people get canceled and do all these things. But you had sent me a text and we were talking back and forth. And then at dinner that night with Yvette, I said, Danielle basically is ultimate. Like, there seems to be a cancellation push because some public official showed up for a ribbon cutting ceremony for her new office, of which got burned down, and she built a business in the community. She does good things for the community, provides a good service, provides jobs, yada, yada. And I thought back to my experiences when public officials have shown up, and I never really thought about it, meaning it's not that I don't occasionally think about politics, but it's really within this silo or box of we're just trying to do business. And I think trying to do business is a bipartisan issue, at least it used to be, apparently. And would you, I always took it as Republican or Democrat or whoever showed up. I was just grateful that somebody from the community showed up and gave me, whether or not they give you an award or they do the ribbon cutting ceremony. And even as I think about here in Half Moon Bay, when I see ribbon cutting ceremonies, and I'm not as familiar with all the party people on the town council, meaning I don't keep that much track of it. I really listen to them and try to judge how they're reacting to the issues. But I see multiple people show up for those ribbon cutting ceremonies, and I never say, oh, well. Now, if you're, I guess, an avid follower of politics, then maybe you do. My point is as a business owner, which is really who we talk to on the show, is I didn't think about that. So the question that I posed to Yvette was, do we now actually have to do research to find out who's showing up? And then if you didn't want this woman, of which I don't know, I do have a question about it, but I don't know her from Adam. I'm from the United States. It's no blinding flash of the obvious. I don't know your I know some Canadian politics because of whatever gets through the news and whatever you and I talk about as it relates to how it affects your business and has. But I don't know this person from anyone. What would you say to her if you now, from this experience, basically a picture gets you 1-star Google reviews, which is just a shit show for your business. Even if you have 100 plus 5-star, it does affect it. And then it causes doubt.
Yeah.
It's like reading an Amazon review and there's these 4 and 5 stars, and then there's a 1, a 2, a 5, a 1. And you start to ask yourself, what the hell is going on here?
Right.
And it just causes doubt. And when you cause doubt in humans' minds, they don't become paralyzed, but they won't make a decision as easily, for sure. This is just consumer products 101 buying thing. So what would you have said? Like, what would you say? Hey, listen, thanks so much for wanting to show up today, but we prefer that you don't do that. Okay. So you have that right. And if you're a listener might say, yeah, Brandon, that's what you do. Okay. Well, then what is the implication for your business based on that interaction long term? Because that person is in some position of power.
Mm-hmm.
And then how does that affect your position within that political system if you wanted to get a permit? I'm making this up, but so this has become it appears to be this complicated thing, and it's sort of troubling that the world has come to this. That doesn't really mean anything because it doesn't help, but it's just a commentary. I guess I do have a question though that I'd ask you. As I understand it, this lady is a health person.
Yes. So she's a health minister, or the health minister of Ontario.
Okay. So just with that, why is a health minister showing up to a ribbon cutting ceremony? And where I'm going with this is politicians get elected or appointed. People are lobbying for these positions, is my point. Lobbying, running, whatever word applies to how you get that position. So I have to ask myself this question, like, why is that person showing up to a ribbon cutting ceremony for a business?
It's a valid question. I think more so she was showing up as MPP of the community. I mean, she attends all business openings in the community. She attends the Christmas tree lighting. She attends a lot of community events. And that was one of my points to one of the nasty people who were writing a comment, is like, she took 5 effing minutes out of her day on a Saturday morning to come and congratulate a business in her community on their reopening and their success within the community. So, like, whether that was her work time, whether that was her personal time, she was still there supporting a small business. It had nothing to do with healthcare. It had nothing to do with being the health minister of Ontario. Whether she came as Sylvia Jones MPP or whether she came as just Sylvia Jones within the community, regardless, there were people there that showed up that I don't like. But I'm not going to, make a big scene out of it. Like, there's even clients that showed up that I could say that I didn't like. I'm not going to not invite them. It's just like, we're all adults here and we're at an event that had nothing to do with health or politics.
Well, I guess someone listening who was possibly on the other side of it could say, why would a person like that show up? But, if the person shows up to all these events and is supportive, I think that's the key.
Right.
Is that, if she only showed up to yours, but if she shows up to all the events and she's just supporting the community, whether she or anyone is doing it genuinely or to promote as part of her job or to promote herself, I don't know. Does it really matter? Like, what are we going to do? We're going to have like a morale. I mean, I don't say that. We're going to have a gauge that says that we evaluate on this. I just think it's about the business. And I guess that was my point. Like, to your point, who cares if someone shows up that you don't like, but is supporting it? Is that bad? Like, I mean, right. Are we adults here, or are we literally drawing party lines on everything in life? So if we're doing that, am I not going to go to a restaurant? And somebody listening could be like, yeah, Brandon and Danielle, that's what we're going to do. And you know what? You're entitled to that 100%. That's your choice. I support the fact that we even live in countries that have a choice like that. So more power to you. However, that's going to get crazy. I mean, your life you're going to be so worn out in the decisions that you have to make every day. And I'm not suggesting that you don't evaluate businesses. Obviously, I mean, if you were running a sweatshop, of course, like, everybody always wants to take it to the extreme though, Danielle. They always want to take a comment like that and then go so far one way. And I think that it's sort of crazy. I guess the question is, now it happened, how did you handle it?
So, as I was saying, when we were receiving the comments, the messages, we were just ignoring them. There were a few that I responded to personally as, yes, I am the CEO. No, I don't stand with Sylvia Jones. Even if I did, this event had nothing to do with politics or being the health minister of Ontario. It didn't matter what I said. They pulled some kind of bullshit literally out of their ass and were spewing it all over social media. So at that point, we just stopped responding to anything. Once we received the 1-star reviews on Google, that's when I knew I had to do something, because people were seeing this, and now this is public. People were messaging me personally going, oh my God, I just saw that lady's comment to you on Sylvia Jones's post. You know, what are you going to do? And I said, nothing. I'm not going to do anything. It is what it is. The Google reviews, though, are a whole different story. Like I said, those are actually representing the business. Anything to me, I can handle. You know, it is what it is. I'm just Danielle. I'll handle it. But when it comes to attacking the business on a Google platform or on an online platform, that things won't get removed, that's when I knew I had to do something. So I obviously, first things first, reported those 1-star reviews to Google. And my case was, this has nothing to do with the business or the service or the company. This has everything to do with like a political stance. And this guy's just pissed off. And the funniest thing is, it's not even like this guy, the first Google review we received, it's not even like this guy was even a client and said, I just saw this picture. I am no longer using their services. Screw them. No, it was some random guy that saw this picture on Sylvia Jones's site and found us on Google and shared his opinion on the fact that our company has no morale and we support the killing of children. So that's harassment, in my opinion. Like, it was so far from the truth, obviously. So I reported it to Google. But then from that point, obviously, we were getting more and more. So I then decided to take a stance publicly. I did not do it through the business, but I did share it with the business. So I went on my Facebook page. I have a lot of people within the community, a lot of community officials. As I said, our company does a lot of stuff within the community. And I blasted everything on Facebook, which I would never usually do. But I felt it was the best platform to share the situation and how much, one, of a joke it is, but two, how detrimental it can be to a business. Whether you're a multi-million like myself or a startup, it could be so detrimental either way, and even more detrimental to a startup that doesn't have a strong foundation in the community yet. So I took it to Facebook and I did like a whole post about what happened, what the event was about, what we've received afterwards, and that people need to be a little bit more fucking considerate to the fact that they do these things and how bad it can be for companies that they have no idea about. So I shared it. I tagged Sylvia Jones in it. I tagged the Board of Trade. I tagged all the people that came to the event. I tagged the company in it. And we got a huge response. And don't get me wrong, I was a little worried about going kind of public with this. But I thought, if something doesn't get said, one, it's going to go further, and two, people really need to realize what this can do over something so fucking stupid. So I did my little rant on Facebook. We received so much support. We even had Sylvia Jones's assistant reach out to us via email to apologize for what we had received from everybody who doesn't support Sylvia Jones, and that, you know, she apologized, that we had nothing to do with that. They went public about it. We received more Google reviews from clients who had used our services that felt we were a great company. So all in all, it was a positive result. We had a lot of people saying, good for you for standing up. More businesses, you know, need to be strong when it comes to things like this. Thanks for reaching out for other businesses that get shit on when things like this happen. So it was a great positive result. However, though we received probably 100 comments on that rant about how great we were, of course, you're going to get the people that say, doesn't matter, you're still supporting Sylvia Jones, or doesn't matter, you're still, you know, in support of a shitty healthcare system, or like whatever people are going to bitch about. One thing I have learned, one through this experience, but others as well, is people will always have an opinion, and there will always be people who don't agree with yours. So really, at the end of it, the best thing to do is to stand up for what you believe in, but you need to be prepared for the consequences.
Yeah, I think so. I think the running at something in today's day and age, if you didn't run at that, you lose control of the narrative. Mm-hmm. And you got to get control of the narrative quickly, because there's this theory out there, and I never can pronounce it, so I'm not going to try to, but the theory is that a very small, it's not a theory, it actually can happen, is that a very small minority of people, this is low percentage points, 1, 2, and 3% of a population, can change the opinion, laws, guidance, thoughts of the rest of the take 97%. And the reason is because what happens, it's almost a mathematical equation if you sort of look at it, but describing it is that they are louder, they are persistent, and they are not willing to compromise. So they stand their ground and they stay loud. And what happens is the general population doesn't have time to deal with it, doesn't want to hear their whining, and doesn't engage. And then what happens is that 3% actually takes over because they're the loudest, the most persistent, and they will not compromise. So, and this is, there's multiple examples of how this happens across not just politics, not just policies, businesses, industries, preferences of what people like and don't like, that of how this works. So if you don't stand up and take control of that narrative, then it'll get out of control. And when you finally reach the point of almost no return, it's not linear when you get involved. It's every time, I don't want to say second, but every segment of time that goes by, recovering from it is exponentially harder and will take exponentially more effort. So I think that this is one of the things, and maybe we'll do another show on it, is your business needs to be prepared for a crisis.
Yeah.
And you need to have a SOP, standard operating procedure, or some policy that's going to guide you so that when things do happen, you're not becoming emotional and reacting. You are following a set of protocols that you've come up with, and now you are executing on effectively a checklist, which will change everything you do in your behavior and reaction. So I think you do have to run at it, and having a crisis management plan in place, even for a small business that does $500,000 in revenue, is something you should think about in today's day and age, because this cancel culture, which I think is becoming more minimized, especially with some movements with Elon Musk buying Twitter and that sort of changing. And I think people, what I hear is just getting tired of it. Like, hey, look, it's not that you're wrong. It's that everything there's the noise of the general stuff that, like, give me a break, but people taking it all the way to the end every single time. And that's where this theory comes in. That's exactly what the minority of the people do. They take something and they take it all the way to the extreme, one way or the other, and then they don't compromise. And I think people are just generally tired of it.
But you're right. Though people are tired of it, unfortunately, there will still be that 1, 2, or 3% of people who are not tired of it, and they're going to run the whole flip and cancel culture movement. Because it doesn't, like, I mean, when I did do the press release, I guess, like, if that's what you want to call it, it did nip it. It did stop it. However, I did still receive backlash from that. I did receive some negative comments and blah, blah, blah. And like you said, Brandon, you have to be prepared to not react emotionally. So one thing I will add to remember, because every business will go through it. It doesn't matter if it's a picture, a post online, you going to an event, it will happen. You need to remember to stay professional and to your ground without reacting and like calling people names, swearing, like all of those things, you definitely need to take into consideration. I didn't do this as Domestic Divas Cleaning Co. when I reached out. I did this as Danielle, CEO of the company, of my business. Because if I would have done it on the page, some people had no idea that this was even happening. And it could have been taken the wrong way. It could have looked unprofessional. I also didn't go on there saying, all these effing idiots, keyboard warriors, trolls and blah, 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 blah. I was very to the point. I was very diplomatic. I was very smart, intelligent about it. I didn't react off the chains. I didn't lose my mind. At the end, I did say kind of like rant over, peace out, but I wasn't rude. I was very diplomatic and I did hold my ground. But just remember, never put your company or your business in a bad or a worse light than people could already put you in. Because once you deter and change from the actual narrative, like you said, Brandon, people are then going to say, oh, well, though I didn't agree with what people were saying about that business, but did you see how they handled it? It was a shit show, right? So you always want to keep control of it in a very diplomatic, professional, and sophisticated way.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it is important, the point you made, that you do. The truth is that probably the majority of your customers had no idea that this was even happening, but you're aware and your business is aware because it's affecting you and you're getting these reviews and it's affecting everything. So I do think you have to put it in the context, and that's why I think you need to have an SOP, or if it, I encourage things to be written down so that you could just flip through it in a manual. But if you don't have that, have some idea what you're going to do. If it's only a policy, we are going to respond to these things within 24 hours and we're not going to let them go, because they'll just run rampant and they're like wildfire on the internet. And it's very clear. I don't even know these people who left you 1-star reviews, but it's very clear that they ganged up on you and got a bunch of people to go in and dump 1-star reviews. I mean, that's what they will do.
Yeah.
So you definitely have to stop that. We'll have to do a follow-up to see if Google actually removes them for you, because that'll be a good thing for listeners to know how you filed an objection and how they responded to it. So
definitely,
I think it's a great story. Appreciate you sharing that with everyone. And I think you just have to, in today's day and age, be a little bit more careful. I don't have a resolution yet that I can offer, other than, meaning, am I going to research every person that shows up to a thing and then my pictures with, and then I'm like, oh, well, I mean, you could do it discreetly and just not take your picture with them. But if they show up to something like you, which is a grand opening or something like that, how are you going to handle that? I think you just have to at least be aware. And maybe that's the lesson, is just be aware of what's happening so that you're prepared for it. It would have completely caught me off guard. And I was completely caught off guard when you even said it to me. Like,
yeah,
is that really where we are today? Like, I mean, we're supporting a business that basically reopened after their office got burned down. That's been part of the community for a long time. And we're going to, go after them. I mean, the people that gave you 1-star reviews, how would they feel if you now went after them and said that they were XYZ because they leave 1-star reviews? So don't even serve them. Don't even do anything with them. Plumbers, electricians, don't even let them come to the grocery store, because when the tables are turned, which I don't think people who do that,
they never think that way.
They don't think that through. Now, I'm not saying that if there's a sweatshop or something that you shouldn't gather and do something like that. But, something like this, which is clearly just a hit piece, and it's personal to you and your business. I don't even think it's personal to them, though. I just think they're sitting around waiting for opportunities to basically pick off something to go off on somebody about, because, usually these people are just have way other issues. And this is a behavior outburst as a result of something else going on in their life.
Well, and I mean, even in my, like, just to end here, just in my response back to them publicly, I never once even said a mean comment. I never even once targeted them or said anything negative about them. I said, hey, if that's how you feel, I get it. I don't follow the health crisis or the political issue in Ontario, but if that's how you feel, you're entitled to an opinion. However, there's a time and a place to deal with it. And my last statement in my public post there was, there's a time and a place. And at a grand opening of a cleaning company's new location is not the time and a place, or not the time or the place to do it. And then I did put, if you have a problem with Sylvia Jones, take it up with her, not with the CEO of a cleaning company that has fuck all to do with politics or the health issue.
I think we'll end there. If you have a similar experience that you'd like to share, we'd love to hear it. You can contact us in the show notes or description. Danielle, way to go on handling that, and thanks for sharing.
Thanks, Brandon. Have a good one, everyone.
Bye, everyone.